What's up, guys? Matt Brown here for playpicks.com and thelines.com. I'm going to talk to you about these Super Bowl MVPs here for this game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Please, as always, click that subscribe button right down below. Give us a thumbs up on this thing and let us know in the comments how you plan on betting the Super Bowl MVP. We're always interested in what you guys are doing. And of course, as always, you'll be the first one to be notified if you are a subscriber. Everything we do completely free, not only here on the YouTube, obviously, but everything on PlayPicks and the lines as well. So we're going to talk about this Super Bowl MVP. And guys, as you would expect, whenever we kind of take a look at the odds here, the shortest odds are always going to be on a quarterback. We can look here. We'll compare between DraftKings, William Hill, PointsBet, and BetMGM over here. But you can see Mahomes, Garoppolo here at DraftKings come in at 115, 225. Over at William Hill, actually coming in at minus 130. So you'd have to lay $130 to win 100. Garoppolo at plus 250. PointsBet comes in at even money on Patrick Mahomes, 210 on Garoppolo, and BetMGM comes in at 110, plus 110 on Mahomes, and plus 250 on Garoppolo. And if you take a look at these numbers, guys, I mean, the reason the quarterbacks are so short here is because, as you would imagine, look, they are the position that has the ball in their hands every single snap. And what happens here? Well, I'll tell you what happens here. That equals 29 quarterbacks having won Super Bowl MVPs. So when you take a look at how this compares to the other positions out there, there have been 7 running backs and 7 wide receivers. So that means 43 times it's been a skill player. So it's a skill player 43 out of 53 Super Bowls. Then you look, 4 linebackers, 2 defensive ends, 2 safeties, 1 corner, and 1 defensive tackle is how it has historically gone when it comes to Super Bowl MVPs. But by and large, it goes to the quarterback because, as you would imagine, the quarterback typically is going to have a good game and lead his team to victory. Now, we did not see that last year where Julian Edelman won the award. He was one of the 7 wide receivers to have won. You saw Tom Brady. It was a low-scoring game. You saw Tom Brady didn't have a ton of passing yards, but basically all the yards he did have went to Julian Edelman, and so Edelman came out with the MVP in that game. Now, if you're also taking a look here, depends on how you think this game is going to play out as to who you want to bet on the MVP as well. Because if you think the Chiefs are going to win, or if you think the 49ers are going to win, that's how you're going to want to bet. One time has it ever gone to a losing player, and that was way back in 1971. So it has gone to a winning player every year since 1971. So don't bet against yourself here. If you think the 49ers are going to win, then you're going to bet on one of the 49ers to win the MVP. If you think the Chiefs are going to win, you're going to bet on one of the Chiefs to win the MVP. It just does not go to losing players anymore. It also very rarely goes to running backs, which is actually pretty interesting as we kind of break this down here, because there has not been a running back that has won the MVP since 1998. Terrell Davis won in 1998, which was the last time we see one of the running backs actually take it home. Over here on Play Picks, you see that Eston has a nice little write up here where he breaks down all of the different guys that he thinks maybe have a shot at this thing. So be sure and head over there. And of course, there's a link in here at the bottom where you can head over to the lines as well, where there's a full breakdown of all of the different, not only of the different positions, but of course of the different places and the different odds as well. So be sure and pay attention to that. So, here's the case. Is it likely to be Patrick Mahomes if the Chiefs win? Yes. I don't know if it's necessarily likely to be Jimmy Garoppolo if it's the 49ers. I actually think that the 49ers' path to success probably runs through one of the running backs, don't you think? I mean, at the end of the day, do you think a game that is going to be a shootout, do you think the 49ers win a shootout with this Chiefs team? Wouldn't you assume that if this game goes into a shootout and it's a high-scoring game, that favors the Chiefs and certainly favors Mahomes? I don't know if that is necessarily the path to victory for the 49ers. Haven't we seen here a power running game when they are most successful? We did have that one freak game where Garoppolo and Drew Brees went crazy down there in the Superdome. But outside of that, it's really been a run first team. I mean, one of the very most run heavy teams in all of the NFL. So I actually feel like if you think that this is going to be a 49er game, I'd be looking more towards Mostert. Or as you look at Mostert here at plus 900, some stats here. Listen, he had 19 carries in week 13 and went for 146 yards. And you're like, oh, this must, this is his position. This must be his. And then weirdly enough, you look how this 49ers team has rotated these running backs in weeks 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, did not have more than 14 carries in a game and did not clear 70 yards in any of those games, including games of 54, 53, 57, and 58 yards. So it's not really a lock that it could be Mostert, I don't think, and which leads me to a couple of the longer shots on the 49ers side if you think this game could go in favor of the 49ers. First and foremost, how about Nick Bosa sitting here at plus 2,500? Actually, you can find Nick Bosa over here on William Hill at plus 4,000. So 40 to 1, which is way better odds than you're getting at DraftKings. So 40 to 1 over here on Nick Bosa. What are we getting at PointsBet on Bosa? Only 30 to 1 here, and over here on BetMGM, you are looking at Bosa as one of the shorter odds there. So actually you'd want to head to William Hill right here where you're getting Nick Bosa at 40 to 1. So paint a scenario here where the Chiefs don't have success. Is it because Patrick Mahomes is getting so much pressure from that defensive line of the 49ers? Is that because Nick Bosa has 3 sacks, 4 sacks? Does one of those include a strip sack? Does one of those include a fumble recovery? Does one of that include something that could really get this thing home? A scoop and score, perhaps from Nick Bosa in this thing? How many quarterback pressures is he going to have? How many sacks is he going to have? Could he cause a fumble? Could he recover a fumble? Could he pick up one of those fumbles and run it back for a touchdown? There is certainly a story that you can tell yourself that this could be a game where Nick Bosa dominates and the defense wins the game for the 49ers. It does not come by way of the arm of Jimmy Garoppolo or even by legs of one of the running backs. It could be by this defense, and it could be by Nick Bosa. And again, at 40 to 1, fairly interesting way to get a long shot here where there's a really very real possibility of how it gets to Nick Bosa at 40 to 1. One of the other long shots here is Matt Breida. And actually, if you wanted to bet Matt Breida, I think we are going to head over here to BetMGM. Maybe DraftKings has him as oh, okay. Yeah. So we can do it at DraftKings here. Plus 10,000 on Matt Breida. And yes, I understand. The guy 2 weeks ago, was Raheem Mostert. Went absolutely nuts. But you have to remember, just a week prior to that, the guy was Tevin Coleman for this team. And let me remind you of something from the beginning of the season. Matt Breida, double-digit carries in 8 of the team's first 9 games. He was also catching about 2.5 passes a game, so involved in the pass game as well for this team. He gets hurt. He has to sit out weeks 11, 12, limited use in week 13, then doesn't get more than 8 carries in any of the rest of the games for the rest of the season. They've had an extra week off here to work him back into the lineup. We know that Tevin Coleman, even if Tevin Coleman plays, is not going to be playing at 100%. And that's if Tevin Coleman even plays. We're talking about a separated shoulder here with Tevin Coleman. So maybe it's now Matt Breida gets worked back into the mix here. Maybe Matt Breida becomes the guy who could end up scoring some touchdowns here for this team. What if the 49ers get behind? Breida certainly then becomes the pass-catching running back if Tevin Coleman doesn't play. And Matt Breida, what if they do come back and beat the Chiefs after being down a couple of scores? Matt Breida is going to play a part in the pass game. Matt Breida might even run a couple in when they get inside the 5-yard line. So again, at 100 to 1, right? We're talking 100 to 1 on Matt Breida to be the MVP. Certainly somewhere that I would be looking as well here on this MVP voting, especially if you're leaning towards the 49ers as well. Now, on the Chiefs side, it's very hard for me to come to a conclusion where if the Chiefs have a lot of success in this game, that it doesn't run through Patrick Mahomes. We're talking about a guy that's averaged over 300 yards passing for his career. We're talking about a guy that threw for over 300 yards in all the first 5 games of the year. Of course, we know that he got hurt at the middle point of the year, had to work his way back from that dislocated knee, I might add. But try to paint yourself a picture to the success of this Chiefs team that does not go through the arm of Patrick Mahomes. Do you think Damian Williams is going to be able to run wild on this San Francisco defense? I do not. I think this runs through Patrick Mahomes. And the other thing is there's so many mouths to feed that he spreads the ball out really, really well. So it's hard for me to say, okay, let's take a Tyreek Hill at 20-1 or a Kelsey at 20-1, because both of these dudes could end up with 5 for 70. And then you throw in all these other guys that are part of the mix as well. Mecole Hardman. Now he siphons off 2 catches for 27 yards or something like that. Then you come down here and you're like, oh, okay, well, it's not Mecole Hardman. Well, maybe Darwin Thompson catches the ball out of the backfield. Now there's one more reception that's not part of the mix. Sammy Watkins. Now he comes in, catches 4 balls, catches 5 balls. I mean, it's just so many mouths to feed there for this team that for me, it's really, really hard. That said, if I had to pick anyone to take, just because there's so many mouths to feed, I'm not taking the 20-1 guy. I'll go ahead and take the 45-1 guy. Let's bank on Sammy Watkins having a 7-catch, 148-yard, 2-touchdown day, and Patrick Mahomes only throws for 230 or 240, and Watkins has 150 of them. Like, let's go for the 45-1 here as opposed to the 20-1 if you're looking to kind of bet a little and win a lot. But for me, the only place I'm really looking to get my money invested here, if I'm betting on the Chiefs here, I'm just going to take Garoppolo. I'm just going to take Mahomes. I'm sorry. It just seems so incredibly obvious to me that if the Chiefs win and win big, that also equals a really, really big day for Patrick Mahomes. I understand it's short odds. If you have a smaller bankroll and you want more bang for your buck, I'd look down the line a little bit further. Maybe you come in at Watkins and hope that he is just the recipient of most of those Mahomes yards and most of those Mahomes touchdowns. If you're on the 49ers side and you think the 49ers are going to win this game, if you're on the 49ers, I'm not looking at Garoppolo. Like I said, I think this runs through somewhere else. Is it Mostert? You're still getting 9-1. Is it Bosa? As we mentioned over here at William Hill, you're getting 40-1 on Bosa. Can he not have a huge game and prevent this Chiefs offense from running wild? You want to shut down Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, get a few sacks, maybe even a fumble recovery, maybe even a scoop and score, and you might just win yourself the MVP. And then the other side here, as I was talking about, an even longer shot is Matt Breida sitting at 10,000. We know that Tevin Coleman's hurt. We know that he was a huge part of this offense at the beginning of the season, got hurt, and then kind of got phased out. Could they work him back in over the extra week that they had, knowing Tevin Coleman's hurt? Could he be a bigger part of this offense? 100-1, I'm worth taking a little bit of a flyer on that in hopes that he might actually be that dude. But again, tons of different ways that you can bet the MVP guys. As you can see, if you want some of these other familiar names here, Deebo Samuel, 33-1, Emmanuel Sanders sitting at 45-1. If you think it could go to a defensive player, I don't know how Richard Sherman wins this thing. He would have to have like one of the most amazing corner days ever for a guy that's not going to shadow either. I mean, he typically plays the side, but 80-1 on him down here. And of course, there's just the super, super long shots down here. Could it go to a kicker at 150-1? I would say no, but again, there are, super, super long shots here. You can go all the way down and you can see this thing starts getting into when you get into these obscure defensive players at, 50 plus 50,000. So 500-1. But for me, those are just going to be the bets here. Mahomes going to be looking at some of this down here at Matt Breida, and of course the maybe a 40-1 shot over here on Bosa should things go south for the Chiefs offense, and the 49ers defense really, really plays a huge, huge game there. But again, a full write-up over here at the lines and at Play Picks. So be sure and head over here. Again, everything is absolutely free on the sites for everything that we're doing over the course of the Super Bowl here. So be sure and subscribe to the channel. Like we said, you'll be the first to know of all the videos we run all week long, and we're going to try to give you the best information humanly possible. And hopefully it either reinforces a pick that you were already leaning towards, or maybe it just goes ahead and solidifies something that you already have in your account. But be sure and follow us all week long, guys, and good luck this week.